Hello, thank you for joining with me. We are in A Course in Miracles workbook for students, lesson 250. Let me not see myself as limited. Let me behold the Son of God today and witness to His glory. Let me try not to obscure the holy light in Him and see His strength diminished and reduced to frailty, nor perceive the lacks in Him with which I would attack His sovereignty. He is your Son, my Father, and today I would behold His gentleness instead of my illusions. He is what I am, and as I see Him, so I see myself. Today I would see truly that this day I may at last identify with Him. Footnote 50. The Son of God in this lesson seems to be our brother. See especially the third sentence of the prayer, as I see Him, so I see myself. This line, which is a rewording of text chapter 8, section 2, as you see Him, you will see yourself, only makes sense when we see Him as referring to our brother. The focus of the lesson, then, is on seeing our brother's glory, the holy light in him, His strength, His sovereignty, and His gentleness, so that we can at last identify with Him, and as a result, no longer see ourselves as limited. And now we will move to the commentary by Alan Watson and Robert Perry. This is a practice suggestion by Robert Perry. You may want to try this active exercise before you enter into meditation. Choose someone in your life and then apply the following lines to that person. Let me behold the Son of God in blank, fill in the blank. Let me witness His glory. Let me see His holy light and not my darkness. Let me see His strength and not His frailty. Let me see His sovereignty and not attack it with lacks that I perceive. Let me behold His gentleness and not the illusion of harmfulness I laid on Him. For by seeing Him as limitless, I will see myself as limitless. Commentary. There is really nothing to see but myself. If I see those around me as limited, I am seeing myself that way. For as I see Him, so I see myself. The lesson is not talking so much about the kind of limitlessness that is touted in self-help seminars. I can do anything I set my mind to. I can achieve all my goals. As it is talking about the limitations we place on holiness, goodness, and love when we view others and ourselves. Do I see my brothers and sisters today as the Son of God in glory? Or do I see them with strength diminished and reduced to frailty? Do I see the holy light shining in all those around me? Or is it obscured by the darkness I have projected onto them? Do I behold the sovereignty of God's Son, or do I continue to attack that majesty by perceiving lacks where there are none? If I am honest with myself, I will be aware of how consistently I perceive lack in everyone or almost everyone I meet. Nobody quite lives up to my high standards. My mind is constantly comparing myself to others as well, and perceiving lacks in me. The perception of lack is one. As I see myself, I see others. As I see others, I see myself. Does the problem perhaps lie in the perceiver and not in what is being perceived? Yet I can choose a different perception. I can choose to see with the vision of Christ. I can choose to see light, to see love, to see gentleness. Let this be my choice today, Father. When I become aware that I am perceiving your Son as less than you created him to be in others or myself, let me recognize those thoughts as illusions born of fear and bring them to your love. I choose today to watch my mind for these scraps of fear and to ask your Spirit to step around them to reveal what they have been hiding from my sight. Today I would see truly that this day I may at last identify with him. Now, if you will close your eyes, I will lead us into not temptation, but meditation. Let me not see myself as limited. Dear Father, he is your Son, and today I would behold his gentleness instead of my illusions. He is what I am, and as I see him, so I see myself. Today I would see truly that this day I may at last identify with him. Thank you so much for joining with me in the meditation. We are now in section 3, What is the World? Paragraph 5, and we will be reading sentences 4 and 5. And if you will, please read this section or listen to my YouTube video on What is the World today in its entirety. We must save the world, for we who made it must behold it through the eyes of Christ, that what was made to die can be restored to everlasting life. What is the world? We are not to rest or to be satisfied until forgiveness has been made complete and all the world has joined our changed perception. And in addition, let us not attempt to change our function. We must save the world. Have you noticed how often the Course talks about our function or our purpose? The word purpose occurs 666 times in the Course. Don't pay any attention to the symbolism of that number. The word function 460 times. Some of those occurrences, of course, refer to other things such as the function of the Holy Spirit, but a vast majority of them are referring to our function. I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I am here. There is no other reason for being in this world except to be its light. There is no other reason to live on earth except to save the world and to bring forgiveness to every mind. In fulfilling my function, I find happiness. My happiness and my function are one. In fulfilling my function, I discover the light within myself. It is through accepting my function that I will see the light in me. Fulfilling our function is an integral and key part of the Course's program for our own enlightenment. Why would we attempt to change our function? What are the ways we do that? We attempt to change our function when we try to find some other purpose for living in the world. Whether it be career, family, pleasure, power, or anything that is of the world. And we do so in an insane attempt to make this world a substitute for God, to make the illusion real and thus substantiate our ego identity. We must save the world. This is our only function. This is the only purpose for the world itself and for me in it. The healing of God's Son is all the world is for. And that's from chapter 4, section 6. This does not mean that everyone must enter a recognized healing profession, although some of us may indeed do so. The manual says that immediate changes in life situations are asked of only a small minority. See section 9. Rather, it means that we must learn to translate every profession into a healing profession. The atonement is the natural profession of the children of God. As Marianne Williamson says, every job can become a front for a church. Our first priority is the healing of our minds and attitudes, especially in our relationships right where we are. Our function is to behold the world through the eyes of Christ. We made the world. We made it to die. It is our responsibility now to restore it to everlasting life. Thank you so much. This is the conclusion of What is the World section, lesson 250. Let me not see myself as limited. I love you. Thank you so much for joining with me.